Hello. So, in the last class I told you that the whole essay on criticism by Alexander Pope can be summed up in these 10 lines, part 3. So you just go through this, then you will understand that. Horace still charms with graceful negligence. So that's important. You teach without being taught. What does that mean? That is, you remember now, when David committed a huge sin and Nathan, the prophet, went to him and did not tell him that you committed a sin, but instead he told a story. Like that. When you teach, you should teach in such a way that students should not be aware of the fact that you are teaching. That is the way you have to do it. So that is graceful negligence. He is writing charms. Horace wrote Ars Poetica. That means not a very serious approach. When you read that, you will understand, oh, it's a kind of conversation between two friends. But at the same time, a lot of things you can learn from that. So that is, the critic should do, the critic's approach to a poem or a creative work should be like that. You should criticize, but the writer should not know that you are criticizing. You understand? So that is, Horace still charms with graceful negligence. So the way that he teaches, it is still charming to us. Means we can follow that. We should follow that. Next. And without methods, talks us into sense. That is the thing. So no doctrine, no theory. But he explains things in such a way that you will understand, this is based on this theory. You don't say that this is theory, according to Aristotle's theory, according to Longinus, and no such thing. But a critic, what should a critic do? A critic should approach a work of art without any doctrinal background. Means you should know doctrines, you should know theories, but you should not just straight away put forward this idea. So according to this is wrong. According to that, this is wrong. No, not do that. Then will, like a friend, familiarly convey the truest notions in the easiest way. You get that? It will be a friendly talk. And this essay itself, we can say, some criticism is a friendly talk. You can see that. It's a conversational style. But it tells a lot of things about not only criticism, not only creative work, but also life. I already told you, that is it. So without being with you, you will not know that. You won't be conscious of the fact that he is teaching you, but he teaches you. It's an art of teaching. The teachers also do this. Students should not know that you are going to teach. But at the end of the there should be aha feeling. So he was teaching. These are theories that he was explaining. There are doctrines that he was explaining. The students should be conscious of that thing. Then he who is supreme in judgment as in which? Who? Horace. He is supreme in judgment and in which? That means as a critic he is supreme, as a writer he is supreme. Might boldly censure as he boldly writ. So his censuring criticism is very bold. He bites with the teeth, not with the gums. Do you get that point? When you bite with teeth, not with gums. So he is very shrewd and very harsh, so to say. He is a harsh critic. So he says, he who might boldly censure, criticize, means find fault, you can say. Censure board of films, as he boldly writ. He writes also like that. His writing, creative work also is great. So also his critical work. Yet, judge with coolness though he sung with fire. Cool and calm. He will tell you bluntly on your face, but he will smile and then he will tell you. See? Not angry like a general, but like a friend. Cool. Doesn't lose his temper at all. And then what about though he sung with fire, but he sings with fire, means what? Great inspiration, luxury and fancy. Then his precepts teach, but what his works inspire. Very important. Something that is missing today. He practices what he preaches. He practices. He says, you should keep you should obey the ancients, means the sense that the three unities. And when he writes, he also observes that. Not that he says something and then he neglects that. No. His precepts teach, but with what his works inspire. He teaches what sincerity. Sincere, that is the commitment and sincerity. Very important qualities for teachers. Isn't it? Right? When you become teachers, keep these things in your mind. I told you, it's good for life. Good, many precepts for life. So, preach only what you practice. Or you practice what you preach. Commitment and sincerity, that's the thing. And then candor. His precepts, his works inspire. Yes. Judged with coolness. His precepts teach, but what his works inspire. Our critics take a contrary extreme. What about today, neoclassicals? This is a comparison between neoclassical criticism and the Augustan age, that is Horace. That is the original classical period. This is neoclassical period. The original classical period is the Augustan age. This is neoclassical. So he says, what is the different contrast he says? What about our critics take a contrary extreme, just the diametrically opposite. They judge with fury, but they write with phlegm. Phlegm, no inspiration. They write with the phlegm, means there no inspiration, no life. See that? But they judge with the fury. That means criticize all the others. But when they start writing, they have nothing to say. Phlegm has also another, there is another spelling, in some books you will find the FLE, phlegm written like this, FLE, apostrophe, FLE, phlegm. This spelling also you will find. Yes, phlegm, one more E is there. Phlegm. This is also another spelling. So they criticize you with vehemence. They find fault with you. They say, what is this? You are not observing all these rules. But when they write, they forget. They happily forget what they have said. Horace was not like that. Then, nor suffers Horace more in wrong translation. Oh, that is another thing. These people, these so-called neoclassicals, what do they do? Classical writers, they wrongly translate Horace. Nor suffers Horace more in wrong translations, by which than critics in as wrong quotations. So in this case, who are to be blamed most? Not critics, but which writers? They quote from Horace. But their quotations are wrong because there is translator wrong. So you have, in fact, you have got the whole essay here. It is an encomium written for praising his master, that is Horace. Pope's master was Horace. And he is known as, in England, he is known as the English Beaulieu. That is about, Beaulieu was he worshipped Horace. Horace, Beaulieu and Alexander Pope, You can say all the three on almost the same level you can say. But their great master was Horace. So he says, and he is very sorry about it. The writers, they misquote him in translations. Translations, they translate wrongly and quote him. So what are the points that you find? You see, you can see, first you will see his reverence for the ancients. When you read this passage, first point is his reverence for the ancients. And that is represented by Horace. His reverence for ancients. And that's what you find in the essay throughout. You will find. Second is, Horace is the true genius, brilliant in creative writing and this. Horace is the true genius. Genius, criticism and creative writing. Creative writing. So you can see now, read this, then you will understand this. These 10 lines. That's the second thing that you will. And the third is the causes for wrong judgment. The causes for wrong judgment. You remember I told you in the second part 2 of the poem entirely devoted to, part 2 of the essay is entirely devoted to why do critics make wrong judgments. So here you can see that. See? What is the main point? This is supreme in judgments. Our critics take a contrary extreme. They judge with fury, but they write with phlegm. So that is why our critics are making wrong judgments. And lastly, you will find the morals or ethics. 3. This is 3. Morals or ethics that should be followed. Ethics. And what is that? That is, what should you do? You should here is it. This is his method. Judge with coolness. His precepts teach, but his works, what is works inspired? That is the ethics. The basis of ethics is that you should practice what you say. Otherwise, there is no life. Absolutely no life. What you practice, what you say, you should practice. So that's what I said. The whole essay can be summed up like this. So you will find this, his reverence for the ancients, and Horace is the true genius, and the Augustines, the original Augustines. Causes for wrong judgment. What is the cause? Causes for wrong. Our critics take a contrary extreme. They judge with fury, but they write with a phlegm. That is the cause for, and that is explained further in part 2, the whole part 2. And morals and ethics, that is, we have seen this now. What is my bold censure? He boldly writes, and then you also find that his precepts he teach, but what is works inspired. That's what I said. The nucleus, you can say. Or you can say the whole thing. What is expressed, what Pope wants to say in the essay can be seen here, these 4 points. As you go further, you can see that. Whether what I have said is true or not, we can see in the classes that we are going to see, say from tomorrow or next time always. I hope you understand now. Once again, I will read this out. Horace still charms with graceful negligence and without methods talks us into sense. Without any theory or doctrines, he tells us what he wants to say. And that is a method that teachers also can follow when you become teachers. Will like a friend familiarly convey the truest notions in the easiest way. So friendly. When you talk to people, you should be friendly. When you teach, you should be friendly. When you explain things, you should be friendly. Even when you On the face, a blunt truth if you say, it has to be done friendly. See, it has to be, like we say, sugar coated, smile coated. I will say like that. Yes. And then you have, he who supreme in judgment as in wit, might boldly censure as he boldly writes. So he is supreme in judgment and he is supreme in criticism and creative writing. He writes, he boldly censures his harshness. He uses the strong words. At the same time, he also writes well. Yet judge with coolness, though he is sung with fire. So his judgments are very cool, friendly, loving. See? But at the same time, his works are inspired by luxury and imagination and fancy. And then you have what his precepts teach, but what his works inspire. Is the most important principle in ethics. The most important principle in morals. That is applicable in life and criticism. And then he criticizes our critics. Our critics take the contrary extreme. They judge with the fury, but they write with. They have no imagination. They cannot write, but they judge with the fury. Criticize. And then no suffers hers more in wrong translation. So they in this case is by which than with critics. So who misuses the quotations of Horace, wrongly translated, and also misuses, or you can say another word, abuses in their writings, that is wits rather than critics. I hope you understand. And if we sum up, you find these 4 points here. His reverence for the ancients. Horace is the true genius, his method as well as a writer, creative writer, and method also. His method, one more point you can say, his method of teaching. His method of teaching, criticism and creative writing. Then you can say causes for wrong judgment. That is, critics take contrary extreme, they judge with fury, but they don't know how to write. And morals is always you preach what you practice. So in the last class, you remember, now we will take a part by part 1, part 2, part 3, like, okay. I hope that in the last class I told you about iambic pentameter. It is clear to you. Have you got any doubt about that? Sometimes you may ask now, how to fix the feet number? See, that depends on that name of that meter. See, that certain meters have 3 feet. Certain meters, not minimum is 2 feet. How to determine a feet depends on, I already told you about the syllable. How to determine the syllable depends on the number of vowels. I think that is clear. Now, there is no scope for a doubt here. I hope that you are following me, and soon we will take up the analysis of the entire essay part by part. Till then, bye. Have a nice day. Enjoy.